So greetings, it's Mike from LiveMyAssOff.com, and along the lines of that, LivingMyAssOff.com, you know how a lot of people will say, okay, so if today was your last day, what would you do? Would you come here to Coronado? I was just walking by Beach Village, which is an area right in front of the beach, and it's made up of a whole bunch of like individual little houses, basically little like cabana. They're big cabanas actually. Some of them are like 2-bedroom, 2-bath with the kitchen in the middle, and then as part of that you get your own chef. They're about $2,000 a night, which is interesting because by contrast, for 1/10 of that, I'm able to rent an entire island in the Philippines. So more on that later. But anyway, so I'm here in Coronado, and I don't know, I think I've shared where I live. And I live basically in the guest house of a wonderful woman who has become basically my second mom, my California mom, Miriam, my BFF. And she's not just 85, she's 80 effing 5, because that's what she says. And anyway, so the reason I bring that up is Miriam had what they will refer to as a mild stroke this weekend. And she's had a couple of these. And what happens is she gets some degree of like non-permanent palsy. And what I mean by that is like she'll lose feeling in the side of her face and she'll get kind of like a droopy thing. But then it sort of comes back over the course of several days. And she's in the hospital right now in ICU in care, and then in a day or so she'll come home. And the reason I say this with sort of some degree of like lackadaisical attitude is that this is not the first time this has happened, and gratefully the result will probably be the same, which is it's a little bit of a scare for her as well as the immediate family for sure. And it's sad, and it's a distraction, I'm sure, for her from her regular life, and she lives life to the fullest. She's amazing. And she's very clear-headed, and she is very appreciative of life, and she's a lot of integrity, a lot of follow-through, honesty, just a wonderful, wonderful woman. But the reason that I bring the camera out and start sort of talking about LivingMyAssOff.com is that, you know, that whole, like, if you only had one day to live, if this was your last day on earth, or if you were just given like 2 years to live, what would you do, you know? And is that really even a valid question? And so I bring that up just because, you know, the reality of life is death someday. Like my dad said to me as we were driving in the car one day, he's like, well, you know, you'll be an orphan someday. Which is a funny way of saying that sadly he and my mom will die one day. Of course, my selfish fantasy is that that I die 1 second before they do, so that I don't have to deal with them not being in my life, right? However, the son dying before the parents, the child dying before the parents, that's not really a good scenario either. But, you know, I mean, I wake up every morning, and as I've shared before, I'm pretty damn grateful that I get another 24 hours. And I mean, I don't just say that. It's not just some cute little phrase that I use for making t-shirts one day. I mean, I truly feel blessed to live another day, because there was certainly a time in my life where, you know, based on an objective outside view looking at me, you'd be like, this guy's trying to commit suicide on the installment plan. Like, what the hell, you know? And now I'm very grateful for every, not every second. I mean, there are some that go by that I'm just like, ah, my God. But overall, I'm very grateful for every breath that I take. So, you know, as I have friends in my life, colleagues, and you know, people that I love and care about, not the least of which, of course, is Miriam, this woman, as well as my mom and my dad. But I have other buddies that are only like 20 years my senior. You know, in their 60s and 65 and that sort of thing. And a lot of them, I'll tell you, a very common phrase from a lot of them is, the years go by faster the older you get. I think I had a buddy, I can't remember who it was, but he was like turning 55 or 60 or something like that. And he said, man, I really start aging fast once I hit 60 or something like that. And you know, and from my perspective, I mean, I'm 48, and so from my perspective, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that'll come someday. I mean, it's kind of like being 20 years old and hearing from a 50-year-old, oh, have I, you know, if I were only your age again, here are all the things I do. And then from a 20-year-old's perspective, you think, what does this guy know? He doesn't get it. But of course, the very true reality of being older is that at one point you were younger. But when you are younger, it's very difficult, I guess, to pay attention to those people that are older than you that have more knowledge. So who knows? But the point is that I wanted to share about how I live my life not based on if I'll die tomorrow. My life is based on if I will live tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. And therefore, I commit to doing the best that I absolutely can. I commit to long-term things, and I have plans, because I don't live my life as if I would die tomorrow. I live my life as if I'm absolutely going to live for a long time. And so I suppose it's just a twist, and you could argue, okay, Mike, it's just semantics or whatever. And yeah, maybe, but I can tell you that I believe it's sort of synonymous with my glass being a hell of a lot half full versus half empty. And I can tell you my glass is never half full. It's 100% full. In fact, there are times where I believe that I live my life like it's 110% full, because I like extra. My drug of choice is more. And so that just sort of, you know, brings me to the little piece of gratitude. So I just wanted to pop that out and share that. I was walking down, I had to, I didn't have to, I got to walk in this beautiful sun on a weekday, and I cruised home and I needed to basically drop off my dry cleaning. And so I thought, hey, well, I didn't get to walk at lunch today because I got the opportunity to have lunch with one of my colleagues who's a great person, and hear a little bit more about her life and her success in her relationships, which is always a great thing to be able to sort of share in with a friend of yours, that they're having success in relationships. And matters of the heart, right? When, especially in IT, when of course we apply logic to anything. I don't care if you're male or female. If you're in IT, you apply logic to matters of the heart, and then are dumbfounded why they don't work out the way that you planned in the Gantt chart. But anyway, so from beautiful Coronado, California, it is Mike saying, I hope you are living the dream. And I hope you are living this moment with massive appreciation and gratitude. Not like it's your last, or not like it's going to be a ton in the future. That's just my deal. But I really do hope that you appreciate this absolute second and realize that the space that you're taking up in the world, you are absolutely allowed to do that. You're allowed to take up more, actually. And I would submit you're allowed to take up as much space as you provide value back to the world. How's that? People say, no, I don't get paid enough money. I'm like, well, how much value are you actually bringing to the world? Because, you know, I like the phrase, the new billionaire is the one person who has positive influence over 1 billion people. Not necessarily has that much US dollars in their bank account. So anyway, just some stuff to think about, and hope you're living the dream. Ciao.